Morning, Piggy.
Morning, 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 morning. Good Saturday morning to you. So that means it's Friday morning and it's nice and froggy out. For those that don't know Southern, that means it's foggy.
Yeah, there's some doofkas out here with no lights on.
Yeah, I call them dummas. Well, I got a fuel filter on the way. I got some tools to be able to change that on the way. So we're going to be taking care of that, and then we'll see what that does. I'll put a little more additive in it when I change it out. And everything does to make sure it helps clean anything that might come out in the aftermath. And this morning we got to stop by Tractor Supply, get a little kitty food, and then stop by and get some gas. So it's going to be one of them that I have to put together because I'm going to do a little bit up to Tractor Supply, and then I'm going to do a little bit after Tractor Supply, and I'm going to do a little bit up until the gas, and then do a little bit after the gas. On the way home.
Piecemeal.
Piecemeal means I got to do what I was doing before and load it up to Peter and put it together on the Peter and put it together and then load it up.
Yeah.
Oh, this ought to be interesting with it being foggy. This is sometimes difficult to get out here on the best of days. So we'll see how it goes. Well, that's a pretty blue, but that's one of them newer Ford Broncos. It's nothing like a Bronco.
Hey.
No, not yet. Oh, we got a line. Oh, well, they're getting the red light. Oh, we can go now.
Green to go. Green to go.
Yeah, we can go, 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 go. Say that just right. You'd be saying it like they used to say about go-go girls back in the day. Well, a lot of stuff going on, as y'all know. Tariffs are working. The Chinese yuan is crashing. China's currency is tanking. But they still want to try to fight it. You know, they think they're going to steal our patents, which they've been doing that anyway. Make stuff cheaper. I can see Temu being cut off, folks. Y'all watch. It's coming. Temu is straight up owned by China. Which is what they was claiming about TikTok, which wasn't so. But Temu is what they tried to say TikTok was, owned by China. So I can see Temu getting cut off because you're buying direct from warehouses in China. No middlemen. Plus, not to mention, their people work pretty much as slaves. They don't get paid but enough to just barely get by. Hear that? You know, so people want to cut off this or that because they think they use child labor. Well, China's notorious for using slave labor.
If it ain't kids, it's the Uyghurs.
The who?
There's a group of people in China called there's the Uyghurs. It's, I think it's Uegger, something like that. I might be wrong on the spelling, but they get used as slave labor by the Chinese.
They use a ton of them. They got billions of people. You know, so as far as manufacturing, they're able to produce stuff at a far lower cost because they're using slave labor. So When you buy your Temu, just know you're buying from Chinese factories, Chinese people being used as slaves in order to produce the product that is designed to undermine what manufacturing we have had left in the United States to break us down further. Well, manufacturing is coming back. They're going to start refurbishing the shipbuilding yards, start building ships here again. That's going to bring in tons of jobs. I'm going to stay over here since I'm going to need this lane anyway.
Works for me.
And there's already trillions of dollars worth coming back in. Now, the mainstream media ain't going to tell y'all stuff like that. They don't want y'all to know. And then they're going to lie about what is coming in. You got Sonny Hostin out there trying to say that Trump's economic professor said Trump was his dumbest student. Well, egg on that professor's face. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He's a businessman and he's darn good at it. Cut a lot of stuff out. That's the first thing that gets done when somebody buys a business out. They go through and see where any waste and fluff is. Unnecessary jobs, wasteful jobs, people who ain't doing the job, people who ain't showing up for the job, and somebody collecting double paycheck because they're assuming a fake job, a job that's there but it's not filled by an actual person. That's all that Trump's doing with having Elon go through doing the Doge thing. That's not how the mainstream media will put it to you. Oh, and the Democrat politicians are, oh, they're going to hurt this group of people that needs it, hurt that group. No, they ain't. People who are actually there and do have jobs. It's a government job and it's a fluff job. It wasn't necessary. Why have a job open that's unnecessary? All it does is cost extra. It don't help nobody except the person who's getting that fluff job. And that's it. So, why keep it? And a person who has that fluff job knows they've got a fluff job, knows it's a job that's just filler. They should know that eventually that's going to come to an end. They better be prepared for it. All those people, that email they had such an uproar about. Business does that all the time. Somebody's proud of what they're doing and the job they're doing is more than happy to send back a response and say, oh, I've done this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Because they want to make it look good to their bosses. They doing the job.
Hey, it might be a raise on my part.
It might get me a raise. It might get me a bonus if it impresses them enough. Oh, but no. Democrats got to make it out like that's a travesty. That's people that don't know what a real job is about, folks. That's people that's got a fluff job and they know they got a fluff job. And they're trying to defend it because they're getting to get a paycheck for next to, if not nothing. They know that fluff job is about to come to an end.
Sweet.
You know, so no wonder they're upset. They ain't got nothing to tell them, and some of them just ain't even there. They don't exist. But somebody's cashing those checks. Dude behind us has got a Chucky doll tied to the front of his grill.
Good for him.
I get, well, it's a Challenger, so, you know, I guess it means he's going to eat you up. So, you know, Clayton and I was talking this morning about the SAVE Act that's coming up. Oh, the Democrats are trying to say, oh, it's going to keep married women from being able to vote. It's going to be able to keep these people from being able to vote. You know, these people don't have uh, cars and don't know how to go about doing this and that and the other. Well, like Byron Donald said, it's called personal responsibility. You want to vote? You go get what's necessary to vote. Bottom line. You know, it's ridiculous, people. Sonny Hostin is one of those that likes to, you know, I'm college educated, you know, and way Trump got elected was all these white, uneducated, hadn't been to college white women. No, it don't. And folks, going to college doesn't mean you've got any sense, because, you know, that's what we used to call it when people touted they had a college degree. Yep, there's another one that lost their common sense, because they went and got Edyamacated. I've heard that all my life. You know what? Turns out 90% of the time it's true. Here's the thing, there's communists in the schools. That's where they come through in the first place, was the schools. So they can start slowly feeding the children over the years communist precepts and ideals. So that when they got to where they was fixing to go full blown, they'd have plenty of people that agreed with it because that's what they were taught. What's the first thing to go? Common sense. Everything's for the state. They brought up the Department of Education. That was a federal thing. That made it state education. That's a communist thing, folks. You teach what we tell you to teach, or you don't get no money. Trump's like, leave it up to the states. They know better what their kids need than we do. So I think it's a good idea. The Department of Education is going to go bye-bye. That means no more state education. Education by the state. They don't teach them nothing anyway except how to test. And that testing, all it is teaching them how to follow orders. They ain't open yet, are they?
Nope, not till 8 o'clock.
So we got a few more minutes on that.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's all you're getting. I went to ITT, and I got me an associate's degree in computer engineering and electronics, applied sciences. Did pretty good. Had about 3.5, 3.2, 3.5 GPA by the time it was all said and done. Hey, that ain't too bad for an old man in his mid-40s going back to college. He only had one algebra course in high school, made a D. Turn around, go to ITT and take college level algebra 1, college level algebra 2, physics, trigonometry. I kept a high B, low A average in that stuff. Hey, I did pretty good. I was better than I thought I was. I applied myself more. Well, one night I got frustrated and somebody asked me about something. Somebody asked me how it was going. I was fixing to go out the door. They was coming in the door to the outside. They asked me how it was going. I had my little bag in my right hand. I lifted both my arms up like a bird spreading its wings, and as I did, I tossed my bag over into some chairs that were against the wall there. Very lightly, very slowly, and dropped my arms, looking frustrated. Well, some little tenderfoot who doesn't know what violence is reported me to the dean saying I was being violent. So I got called into the dean's office along with my department head, Frank. I'm sitting there being talked to and lectured about it, and I told him, I said, I said, you can tell these folks around here ain't been taught their head from a hole in the ground, because they don't know the difference between frustration and violence. And I told him, I said, I'm a man of such a strength that had I been being violent, that bag would have landed in the library through that wall. I said, I was frustrated, and I lightly tossed it over to some chairs and expressed my frustration. I said, another thing I don't like about this is I don't get to face my accuser. I've been accused, and you've assumed that I'm guilty based off that accusation without actually talking to me first and giving me the benefit of the doubt. Keep in mind, the dame was a black woman. Now, she's very smart. I had a lot of respect for her. But I busted them out point blank on them knee jerking and assuming, because I was a former Marine and other things in life and everything, that what that other person had said was legit. I let them know that person was an idiot because they couldn't tell the difference between violence and frustration. And I didn't appreciate being talked to in such a way and not allowed to face my accuser. And I let them know that they could let that person know that I know and think they're an idiot because they don't know the difference between violence and frustration. And took a little something and ran with it. Well, that's what the Democrats do. They take a little something and they run with it. They make up stuff. How do we know that? The Steele dossier that was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton. Adam Schiff's the one that made it up. And that's been proven to be a lie. There's other things been proven to be a lie. Tons of things have been proven to be a lie. But Democrats have their constituents believing it because they don't know any better than to question it. Growing up, I could tell things in my gut. And for a while, I'd question, oh, you're just overreacting. You're just overthinking. So I was made to feel like I was the problem. Narcissists do that, people. Democrats are bad for narcissism. Tim Walz had his butt handed to him at a function the other day. The Vietnam vets were letting him have it, calling him a coward. He needed to shut up, this, that, and the other thing, stolen valor, because it was proven that he was doing stolen valor, claiming he did stuff in the military he did not do. That's why he got stripped of everything military. One of the first things Hickseth done, and I totally agree with it, because it was proven he didn't do none of that. He's taking credit for stuff he didn't have a right to take credit for. And, so point blank period, people, Democrats lie. I had a very smart man tell me one time, he said, I'll win any argument as long as it stays logical and rational. He said, once logic and rationale leave, he said, I'm done. Because you can't win against irrational and illogical, because you start taking fantasy and make-believe and try to make it reality. Well, that's what Democrats do, and they do it real good. It's wordplay, folks. You need to pay attention to the words and the way they're using them, because they're lying to you. Piggy loves you, think about it.